markets breaking their 4-day win streak Friday and pulling back from record highs, as you see there. It was a bit of a sell-off there late in the day. But even with today's drop, it was a strong week for stocks. The S&P 500 posting its biggest weekly gain since June. So was this pullback just some profit taking or the sound of something bigger? Steve?
I feel like the market is looking for a reason to pull back. I feel like it was trade, then it was impeachment, and now we're looking at coronavirus. I think this could be a selling opportunity. Even though I'm constructive off a bounce, I think the market wants to see much lower in the S&P before it goes higher.
It was waiting for something to tip it.
I think it's looking for some reason to get back down to that 200-day moving average, which unfortunately is right around 3K in the S&P. But let's not put the cart before the horse. 3230 is your 50-day, 3125 is your 100. There's a lot of wood to chop before we get to the 200.
Guy?
Agreed. 3030 is my level in the S&P, but yeah, I think that's where we should trade down to, given all the backdrop. And again, the coronavirus does not seem to be getting much better. I think the market is underestimating that. Again, you have a weekend to look at this thing. Last Monday we came in, we had this huge up move for the first few days. I'm not sure we're going to repeat that next week.
Midday, I hear they were tightening down in southeastern China around Guangzhou, the Shenzhen area. And so that means that there is, and that is one of the biggest manufacturing areas of all of China.
Yeah, and I think, though, I would rather talk about this in the context of what markets have done and what they kind of need to do. The S&P moving 16% since October 3rd was something that needed to take a breath anyway. We were down 2.2% for the S&P last week, and therefore coming in. I think, look, by Friday, we had a nasty day last Friday, and I think people had a chance to kind of evaluate. It was amazing to me that as the coronavirus news I don't think it got a whole lot better this week. Again, the numbers started to build, that the market actually took some confidence. I just think positioning was offsides.
At the end of the day, if you're bearish, you believe the market wants, needs, should go lower. And if you're bullish, frankly, that's what you should want too, because the further you stretch it, then the more extended and dangerous it gets. Dips are what allow markets or stocks to go higher.
So it's healthy.
It's due for a dip. And if you're bearish, you think the dip turns into something.
I also think about other times where we've questioned global growth, and we know that it's a global economy, and the U.S. economy is certainly very linked to that. But we've actually traded as an island at times. And if you look at that payroll number out there this morning, and while I don't think the U.S.
jobs number,
I don't think U.S. jobs are growing at 2.25 on average, but I do think that if you look at the payroll numbers, and we talk about the consumer all the time on this show, we are going to outperform in this country, even in the face of this. And I think at some point you have to think about that as a trade too, because it becomes a flight to quality trade on equity.
And speaking of that, the dollar has been very firm, and that is not a particularly positive development if and as that continues.
All righty. Fears over the coronavirus continue to loom over the markets. For more on the virus and your money, please tune in to CNBC's special report, Outbreak Coronavirus. It is tonight at 7 p.m. after Mad Money. And if you think the stock market markets have been glossing over all the risks out there, you might want to take a look at this. It's our chart of the week.
Sure it is.
What is it? What is it?
Wow.
It's not the BLT.
No, it's not the BLT.
It's the TLT.
It's funny about the BLT. I've ordered a BLT, and I'd say the BLT without the T, because tomatoes on any sandwich to me are brutal.
Is that
so why do you order it, though?
I get a BLT without the T.
You just get a BL?
Exactly. With that said,
probably time to
TLT, look at the TLT. And this is something we talked about on the desk. I know CB Dubs is in agreement on this one, but I still think rates are going significantly lower. 149 in the TLT was basically the high in August. I think yields bottomed out around 141 or so. I think we're headed back to that level in the TLT, which means I still think rates fall, and we'll see what happens with the broader market.
What sends them down?
I think what sends them down has been exactly what's the forces working against them or for them for the last 5 years. This global environment, the fact that I don't think the global economies are nearly as strong as people want to say, and the fact that negative yields seem to be ruling the day, and the U.S. seems to be destined to not get there, but get damn close.
And how well utilities hold up, gold holds up, even with the dollar strengthening, TLT, it all suggests that it's not quite the all clear sign that the equity market is telegraphing.
There's no sign that the Fed is going to change gears on their liquidity trade at this point. And if you think about the reaction, the reflation trade in the form of throwing liquidity out in the markets, historically, that's what that's done. For QE at least 2, 3, and 4, it's had the opposite effect. And we've seen this with the ECB. If anything, you started to see a rally in European banks once there was some sense that the ECB no longer believes in their own version of QE. And I think until the Fed changes gears, we have probably more of the risk of deflation than we have the risk of inflation.
Final thought? You have one?
I think the utilities have shocked a lot of people. Everyone thought they were overvalued. But the truth is, when you look at the chart, it's pretty impressive how it keeps ratcheting up and forming bases. And I think to that point, if you're going to invest in gold, I always like buying the GDX, which is the gold miner ETF. You have a little more leverage out of that. It's a 3-to-1 ratio.
So no tomato, lettuce, and tomato sandwich
No.
for you guys.
Tomatoes, I mean, I don't know what human being likes tomatoes on their
When you order
sandwich.
it with all those different instructions, does it ever come right?
Yes, when I go to Burger King, where kids are king, or when whatever the whole
Self-BLT.
Hold
Burger
the
King.
mayo. All right.
No,
Don't
I
hold
tell
the mayo.
them
What was the line
Whopper,
in
no
Easy
tomato.
Rider?
It always
Pickle,
comes
hold
out
the
right.
lettuce.
Hold the lettuce.
Guys, don't upset us.